Well, welcome back to another video, guys. Bo with the Blacktop Nomad here. And today, I want to kind of talk about farm truck. How we ended up with it, why we ended up doing what we're doing with it, and what we may do with it in the future. So in order to do that, we need to take a little mini journey today. And today we're going to go take a trip down memory lane. So stay tuned. So how I came in possession of farm truck is kind of a really random story. It was just an ad for an auction company that popped up on my Facebook feed, and it just happened to have these listings of these old co-op vehicles that were going to be auctioned at a certain online auction anybody could bid on. I've never bid on anything like that before, never signed up for online auctions. I don't know why. I felt intrigued to click on it, and I came across this pickup and another one that were similar being auctioned off in the same auction. And I decided to go ahead and watch the auction, watch the items just to see what they were going for. And up to the day before the auction, I think they were going for like $1,000. So I was like, oh, these would be really cheap. And at the time, my dad was kind of looking for a truck. And so I was like, well, you know what? I'll go ahead and bid on it. And just in case, maybe we can get a really good deal on it, and maybe it's worth looking into. Well, the day of the auction, I had it in my head I wasn't going to go above like $2,300 or $2,400. So I bid up, and the bid keeps going and going, and it got past the $2,400. So at that point, I was like, okay, I really don't want to, but it didn't move much more. So I was like, well, I'll go up to $2,650. I got to $2,650, got outbid. And then it kept going a little bit, and it stopped at $2,800. I was like, I really don't want to. I was really kind of sweating it at this point. Do I not? So I said, I'll bid one more time. And I bid $2,850. And I waited. The timer kept going down. I was just waiting for somebody to outbid me, because this was it. This is all I was going to bid. And the timer ran out, and sure as shit, I ended up with it. So at that point, I was like, what do I do? I just bought this thing. Now I have to pay for it. I have to get it home. And so that's how kind of everything kind of spiraled from that point. I got it home. It needed a lot of work. As you would imagine, a cheap pickup of 20 years old wood. I fixed it up to a driver's standpoint, and I was ready to just hand it off to the next person. That was the entire intention. Well, it didn't work out. So I was left with the truck, which at this point, was a decent quality driving truck. And I was either going to flip it, try and make some money on it, or do something with it. I had never intended to turn this channel into an automotive channel, but the more I drove the truck, the more I felt like I wanted to do something with it. And I saw that soft topper come up for sale. I've always kind of wanted to do something camp related. At one point I had a van I was going to convert. That was kind of a short-lived thing. So I said, why not? We had the channel started. We didn't really have a direction we were going quite yet. At first, with this channel, all I wanted to do was kind of document our trips, mostly for Kate and I's own enjoyment. It would be great if, the channel grew and more people followed along. And obviously we still want that, but the main goal of the channel has always been to just kind of document the trips we're taking, just so we have a nice little memory to look back on, if nothing else. And, well, I don't know, I just kind of got inspired at that point. I wanted to try the camping thing again. It seemed like we had the perfect platform for it, and so that's how Farm Truck came to be. When I started this channel, I originally intended I wanted to try and follow a lot of the formulas that a lot of successful YouTubers had, and I wanted to make content in the way that they did, just trying to follow a pattern. And very quickly I figured out that's not what I want to do. I enjoy being authentic with this channel. To me, this channel is me just telling you guys Kate and I's story. That's what this channel is. It's what we're doing. We're just letting you come along. And maybe that's not the best recipe for success. I don't know. But it feels authentic to me. And it's what I like to do. It feels good in the moment. It doesn't feel like I'm forcing something to happen. Like, at the end of the day, if this channel never takes off, beyond a few subscribers, which I'm thankful for each and every one of you who have subscribed, it means the world to me. It really does. That you care enough to see what we're up to. But at the end of the day, if it never goes anywhere, if this channel never really takes off, Kate and I have these great mementos that we've filmed together, and we can look back on them. And to me, they tell so much more of a story than just taking a random snapshot, just throwing them on a Facebook album that I never look at again. This has been something that I've gotten to create. I curate these videos together, and I enjoy getting to watch them back. So at the end of the day, if all I get out of this channel is just personal enjoyment, that is completely fine to me. I just want something that someday we can sit down and just kind of laugh. At this point in our lives, this is what we were doing together, and just whipping out the phone at whatever struck my fancy at the time, and just trying to capture those moments and tell that story. Even if it's just tell that story back to me when my memory's not quite as sharp as it used to be, But I at least hope you guys are enjoying the content that we're producing. And like I said, I want you guys to be an active part in this conversation, so that's why I brought you along today. Sometimes I feel like this truck was kind of meant to happen in a certain way. It certainly motivated me to change up the content I was making at the time, and it really helped me find my authentic voice, which I feel like I'm now starting to really come into my own on this channel. It popped up at the right time. It has been a great catalyst. It's been a great motivator for me to make the kind of content that I want to make. And I'm super grateful that it's come into my life to help me do what I've done, what I've accomplished thus far. I just want to make sure that going forward, that I'm still being smart about how we're approaching the content we make here. And I'm not afraid of doing a little more work. It's just the part of my brain that goes, I don't want the rose-colored glasses to blind me to such an extent that I continue to senselessly dump money into something that could potentially cost us the ability to go on a really nice trip that we can see a lot more. Like, for example, say we keep going with the truck here, and say the transmission shells out, and it's $3,000 to fix or something like that. That could cost us the ability to actually go and see something really, really cool, or do something really, really fun. And I don't want the warm, fuzzy feeling of, this meant to be truck that just, came into our lives, and that was what changed everything. It's a great story. It really is, and it's fun to tell, but I don't want it to become a nightmare, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want this fairy tale to end up in this bad situation that's ending up costing us the ability to go and see and do more things because we were kind of latched on to the idea rather than something being actually fundamentally good for us at the time. Like, I would rather do this entire series from behind the wheel of a rented Camry if it meant we got to see some of the coolest sights and experience some of the coolest activities that we could possibly do, rather than have a car that just, we sink tons of money into and then have to kind of pick and choose the adventures we do because we've sunk the money we could have used for travel into a said vehicle, if that makes sense. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of tossing these ideas back and forth in my mind, and I've been kind of wrestling with the idea. I'm not really sure what to do at this point, because at the end of the day, I do still like the truck. I do enjoy it. we both enjoyed it. I've enjoyed getting to sit in the passenger seat for a while and just do some filming and be creative and let Kate do a lot of the driving. I've enjoyed our camping adventures way more than I thought I would. But at the same time, like I said, I just want to be super practical and pick the smartest approach possible so we can really maximize what we can do with this channel. You know, and it's not to say that I never wanted to build a car to do road trips with. I've always kind of had in my mind I wanted to do something epic, like whether it was a VW van. I was always obsessed with those, a classic car like an old station wagon, always into hot rodding and stuff like that. I never really imagined it would be a 20-year-old Silverado, to be honest. And I was been trying to go over in my mind why I've become kind of attached to this truck, and maybe that's not the best thing in some instances, but where we're going today, I think, kind of explains why maybe I'm finding some emotional attachment to this truck that I never really expected to find. And maybe it's something I want to continue with, but I really want to get your guys' thoughts as we go along, as I kind of discuss this on. First of all, I want to know, I want you guys to comment if you're watching this video and tell me really what you want to see out of this channel, where you would like us to go, what you would like us to do, and if that means doing more to this truck to make it more capable to go to those places. If you're enjoying seeing the build series, I want to know, I really want to know your guys' thoughts about how you're feeling as the channel's kind of growing into its own. We've learned a lot over these last, dozen or so videos that we've made, and I want to make sure that the channel grows in a way that people are really connecting with it, and us as well. So I really want to know what you're enjoying, what you've seen up to this point, and maybe what you'd like to see more of as we go forward. But we're getting close to our stop, so I'm going to kind of point the camera around and show you where it is I'm taking you. Well, here we are. I don't know, I hope you weren't expecting someplace really grandiose, but this is it. A little gravel road called East 64th Street North. A road so special, I literally had to look at the sign as I was turning to remember what the name of the road was. Because even though I've been down this road probably 200 times, I have never bothered to look at the road address. So, never knew what the street was. Found something out today. But this road is just any other road. There's nothing particularly special about it. It's just what this road means to me. This is the first road I drove on growing up. I was 11 years old, and we were going up to visit my grandpa, and my dad had this old 78 C20 Scottsdale, and he pulled over on the side of the road and asked if I wanted to drive, and of course I said yes. I was so excited. This is, big boy territory, and I got to drive all the way to Grandpa's on this back road, and that was behind the wheel of an old regular cab 3/4 ton pickup. I kind of grew up behind either behind the wheel of one or in the passenger seat of one. My grandpa had a K20 85 Silverado, and it was nothing special, just an old work truck. Dad always had old 3/4 ton work trucks. They were always a single cab with an 8-foot box, and I maybe that's why I kind of latched onto this truck, because it felt familiar to me. Growing up with Grandpa and Dad, we'd always go out and do stuff. We were cutting wood to burn for heat in the winter. We were always hauling stuff here and there, working on this, that, or the other, and it was always behind the wheel of one of those trucks. We spent a lot of time talking, and a lot of conversations were had in a truck like that, and this maybe just felt a little familiar to me. And maybe that's some of that sentimentality I was feeling when I got this. It felt familiar to me. My grandpa and my dad weren't always the chattiest individuals, and it took the right conversation to get them going. But whenever we were working on stuff or doing something, it always seemed easier, and they always seemed to open up more. So I always got a lot of stories out of Grandpa when we were doing this, that, or the other. I'd sit the passenger seat of his truck. We'd go run to an auction or go cut some wood, or he was helping me work on something. And he'd tell me stories about, when he was growing up, or when he was running truck, or this, that, or the other. And I got to know him that way. And it was always because I was just trying to hang out with them both, and usually that meant work. And a lot of my siblings, they don't have the same relationship with my dad or my grandpa like I do, and that was because I kind of figured out at an early age, if you wanted to hang out with them, you kind of had to do what they were doing, and usually that involves some kind of work, and that's not always the most fun, but it's how I managed to learn a lot of the things that I know now. And also I got to know both of them on a different level than most any of my other siblings do. And like I said, it all kind of spawned around going and doing things in trucks like these. It's actually quite a pretty drive up here, as we're heading up north. Always love looking at the little farms. So this is kind of nice. Just kind of a nice little drive. It's getting to come back here. I haven't been up this way in a while, and I'm kind of curious to see what's changed. Oh, we're hitting the washboards. We're getting close to the asphalt. This road just randomly turns into 2-lane in about 3, 2, 1, and we're on. And we're almost there now. This road turns into like almost a 3-mile straight stretch all the way into Laurel. And I always wanted to drag race this as a kid. Like, I just felt like perfect for a top speed run of some kind, because look at that. Look how straight it goes. Straight as an arrow all the way into town. You could literally just bomb up and down this highway, and I'm pretty sure kids have for years. I just never had the car worth doing it in. Wow. There it is. It looks so different now. Wow. Huh. Trying not to be like super creepy, because it's not his house anymore, but I remember certain things, but the house is gone. There's a new house. The shop's still there. I learned a lot of stuff out of that shop. I'm gonna stop for a second. I didn't want to pull too close to the house. I didn't want anyone to think I was being creepy. It's kind of weird going back there, since Grandma passed away a few years ago, and Grandpa's now living in an assisted living facility. I just haven't been back here. It's weird to see the house gone, and it's kind of weird. Like, I wanted to stop and make a better, show you guys the property a little more, but it's weird, a place that you never thought you would ever feel unwelcome. I feel totally weird just even turning around in the driveway. It's kind of surreal. It really brings home that idea the only constant in life is change, and I guess that's what that means, because that's not Grandpa's place anymore, and that's kind of weird. I never, when you grow up, you kind of, in the back of your mind, things like that are an inevitability, but you're just never quite ready for it when you see it. I spent a lot of my youth over there chatting with Grandma, stealing candy out of her bowl, snagging a pop or whatever when we stopped over. Spent a lot of time in Grandpa's shop. He was always helping us fix things. And that was one thing, I kind of learned things out of just dirt floor shops like that. It's surreal in a way. And like I said, I really think that's why felt, you know, something when I started redoing this truck, is I think I was latching on to that nostalgia I was feeling. You know, I'm just gonna drive by one more time, just kind of soak this in, because it's weird. You know, there's a different house there. Like, a whole new house. There's, like I said, it's familiar enough. I recognize it to a point. But yeah, it's Grandpa's house, but it's not at the same time. You know, I think the nostalgia thing is what gets me, because I know what kind of a drug it can be. You know, I always kind of imagine that my dad, Grandpa, and I, you know, when I was growing up, we redid a tractor together, and I always kind of envisioned we would do at least one more project. I always wanted to do a car with them, and it's kind of sad knowing I know we're never going to get to that point now with the way things are. So I think, you know, when I started getting into this project, this Overland project, I felt familiar enough. It felt, you know, like maybe they were doing it in spirit with me to a certain extent, just because I felt connected to all that. You know, like I said, just something about this truck felt familiar. And it was even weirder when I was cleaning it out. I found this fortune about courage literally under the seat. I'll post a picture of it here real quick, and I was like, well, maybe, you know, it's a sign to keep going and keep doing things and to do more with this truck. And if that's what you guys want to see, I'm all for it. But at the same time, I have a practical side to my brain. I'm not, you know, a complete, I don't know what the word would be. I'm not completely head in the clouds on this. Like, I know it's an old truck. I know it's going to need a lot of money. And here's the kicker. I still want to do an Overland truck build. But the thing is, right now, I have two trucks. Two full-size trucks now that, and to be honest, the one I have at home is a much nicer truck. I could do much more with it, you know, because with farm truck, and what I'm going to go into on the next video is exactly how much money I have put into this truck. In case you all were curious how much money we're sinking into this as we're going along, I'm going to do a total detailed breakdown, like per the penny. And a lot of this has gone to maintenance just in this truck, you know, just to keep it roadworthy, which that's not inherently bad. You know, old trucks, old anything, are going to need some degree of maintenance. Like, that's just an unavoidable reality. So my whole thing is, nostalgia aside, if I sold one truck, and smart thing to do would be to keep the nicer of the two and continued the build series on the other one. Like, the whole point of this channel is travel, you know, to go and do things and see things. And I would rather spend more of my money, if it makes sense, on building something that we could take on more trips rather than just spending the money keeping it running, if that makes sense, you know what I mean? Like, if I sold this truck per se and used that money to then build a really nice camper out of my much nicer truck, is that a wiser choice? Or should I stick with this because we started the channel with it, we've kind of become attached to it? Should we keep this long term, keep both trucks? Because I'm not getting rid of the red one. I'm not. It's too nice to let go of, you know, and I've had it now for 7 years. Like, it's not going anywhere. I know that. And so I know my options are either sell this truck right here, take the money and turn my nicer truck into both my dual purpose daily use truck and our new adventure vehicle, or continue to invest in farm truck here and continue on the rebuild process, knowing that it's probably not going to be the wisest financial decision going forward. So that's my quandary. And that's why I wanted to make this video, because I want to reach out to each of you who gives this video a listen. Like, let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you think I should do. Because I want to know, have you guys grown attached to Farm Truck too? Or are you just enjoying seeing our little adventures wherever we're going? Because if that's the case, it doesn't really matter what we're going in. Like this weekend, we're getting ready to go on another trip and we won't be taking any of the trucks at all. So if you let me know, like, do you enjoy the trips? Do you enjoy getting to see what we're doing with the truck? That's what I'm really curious. That's why I'm reaching out, you know, because we've kind of built a small-ish community of people that are subscribed now, and I'm really happy about that. And I want to include you guys in as much of our channel as we can. You know, I want you guys to feel like you're as much a part of it as we are. So let me know your thoughts, and I'll kind of update you. Like I said, we're going to do a video with the cost breakdown for this truck, and then we're going to kind of go from there. And maybe that means we sell it, maybe that means we continue on. I don't know yet. But thank you guys so much for giving this video a watch. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and until we pick you guys up for the next video, just remember, it's not the destination, it's the journey. All right, take care, everybody.